Lift is a new heist film that was released on Netflix over the weekend, and it stars Kevin Hart and Gugu mbatha-raw, and is directed by F. Gary Gray. And Kevin Hart, he leads a heist team in which they steal forms of art that is very valuable to them. But then Kevin Hart's character comes across Gugu mbatha-raw's character, in which she works for Interpol. The two of them have to team up and try to stop this terrorist from stealing a lot of money and killing people. And so they have to pull off the ultimate heist. Now, F. Gary Gray, I'd say he's not particularly one of my favorite filmmakers, but he has made films that I've either loved or like Friday and Set It Off. Those two films alone are classics. He made The Negotiator, A Man Apart, The Italian Job. He made Law Abiding Citizen, which is one of my favorite crime or courtroom films of all time, and even one of my favorite Gerard Butler performances. And he made one of my favorite music biopics from the past decade, Straight Outta Compton. But as for the past couple of years, he made The Fate of the Furious, which I felt was really the beginning of the end for the Fast franchises, but I didn't really penalize him for that. Then he made Men in Black International, which, less said the better. But of course, before he started directing movies, he made music videos for artists such as Ice Cube, TLC, Cypress Hill, Outkast, Babyface, Jay-Z, Rick Ross. And so when I saw the trailer for this movie, I was like, Kevin Hart and Gugu mbatha-raw, that is a pair that I never thought I'd see. And then it wasn't until I actually watched the movie did I realize that this movie was made by F. Gary Gray, because that definitely changed my perception of this whole movie. Because at first I thought it was just a disposable, fun heist movie on Netflix. But then once I saw F. Gary Gray direct it, I was like, okay. Well, let's see what he does here. And honestly, F. Gary Gray, he's done better in my opinion. And that's one thing with Netflix, is they give these high-profile or well-known directors an unlimited budget, and so they got carte blanche to do whatever they want. And I felt that's what happened with here. They gave F. Gary Gray a bunch of money, and they just let him run loose. And you definitely do see the budget within this movie, but at the same time, for as much money as put into this movie, seemingly, it still feels like a streaming movie. From the action to some of the dialogue, and just even the lighting in this movie. Like, I'm starting to notice this with a lot of movies, and I just said this about Mean Girls, but this really does feel like a streaming movie. And just this flat and oversaturated lighting that happens in this movie, that's how I'm starting to notice that this just feels like a streaming movie. And anytime I rewatch an older movie, I just have this feeling like, oh wow, I remember when movies used to look and feel like this. And now when I look at most movies nowadays, I just think, I guess this is what it's come down to, huh? All right, enough about the production of this movie and its director. Let's talk about the characters, even though there's really not much to them. Starting with the starring role, Kevin Hart, who plays Cyrus. And look, I appreciate Kevin Hart. He's trying to not be known for just being the funny man. I do appreciate that. But you can crack a joke every now and then, because this character, he's just bland. And Kevin Hart, I'm sorry, but you're just not a comedian that's also a leading man. You just do not strike as that. I think Jamie Foxx, he's a better comedian that turned out to be a leading man. Gugu mbatha-raw, now look, I ain't saying that she is above making these kinds of movies. In fact, I'm happy that she made this kind of movies, because at least she can still get work. In fact, that's what you should do as an actor, is just take whatever you can just to get work, or you're just trying to get as much work as you can. But at the same time, I feel like she is much better than the material she is given within this movie. And I was just not sold on her and Kevin Hart as a romantic couple, or seemingly romantic couple. They just seem like platonic friends at times. Vincent D'Onofrio is in this movie, and he's supposed to be like the master of disguise. And look, it is cool to see him get out of the kingpin role for a little bit, but here it was just fun to, see him kick back and let loose a little bit. Jake Sully himself, Sam Worthington, is in this movie, and he was like the head of Interpol, and he was fine. In fact, it's probably the most acting I've seen him ever do outside of Avatar. Gene Marino, he's the villain in this movie, and he's just a generic terrorist with a generic accent. Really didn't serve that much in this movie. And Jacob Batalon has a cameo in this movie, and he's really in the beginning of this movie where they deal with NFTs, to which I'm like, well, this movie didn't age well, because I did hear that the script for this movie did get shopped around a few times, so who knows how long this movie got written, but it's clear this movie the script is dated as hell. But as for the other characters in this movie, there really wasn't much to them. They just have traits, and they didn't really have nothing to them that I could connect with. Overall, this is just another generic heist movie on Netflix, and it's cool to see some of these actors get this kind of work. But overall they're either better than the material that they were given, or they was trying to accomplish something with this movie that just wasn't there. And Edgar Gray, I'll still watch whatever he does next, but this just is not his finest hour, in my opinion. I'm gonna give Lift the thumbs down emoji.